Well, welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. We are talking about the summer of 2019, the films that were the best and maybe the worst. Well, let's talk about our biggest disappointment for the summer. Let's go ahead and get that in there so that worst category actually shows up worthwhile. Mr. Manning, Mr. Thomas Manning.
Well, I mean, I've got a couple friends who are going to kill me for this, but Lion King is my most disappointing of the summer, unfortunately. I wanted to love it, and my first, we were there, press screening, and we were like, well, we know it's technologically incredibly advanced. It's gorgeous to look at. It's got a good score from Hans Zimmer, but everything else just so forgettable and bland, and I'd much rather watch the original.
Yeah.
There was nothing they added to it to make it unique and fresh like they did with Aladdin.
Right.
And it struggled with pacing, which is not a good thing, especially for one aimed at younger audiences.
Yeah,
like
in a movie that long.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
it was like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And the music numbers were nothing special. They just felt like the same thing again, but nothing that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. So the biggest disappointment of the summer. What about you, Mr. Tillman?
The same, Lion King.
Yeah.
It just kind of sat there. It looked wonderful, but
Yep.
I hate to say it was kind of boring, but it was just kind of boring.
It was
compared to the original.
It was
just
a technical,
didn't have the energy.
Technical marvel.
yeah, I mean, it's
absolutely
going to change that industry as well.
Yeah.
But
And they threw in
Even though
one,
I didn't get invited to a press screening like some people.
Yeah,
I did
they
to see
threw
it
in
the old-fashioned way, but
one live action scene, which to me, why the heck do that?
the opening
Yeah.
sunset was
You know,
live action.
Why? It didn't. I mean, you could have created a sunset, honestly, as beautiful today. You could. So those were your biggest disappointment. It was definitely on my list, but I will say that a franchise that was kind of wrapping up as part of this kind of reboot prequel that stood out for my biggest disappointment was X-Men, the Dark Phoenix film. I mean, talk about a movie that just kind of sat there and you kept waiting and kept waiting and kept waiting for something to really draw you in, and it took so many wrong turns that I really did get bored watching it, and I shouldn't have, because there was a lot of action going on, but it really just stood out to me as a big disappointment for the summer.
Oh yeah, I can't argue with that one, honestly. There's been probably 8 out of the 11 X-Men movies that have been awesome, and this one was just a really sour note to end it on.
It really was.
So yeah,
it really was. We'll see what happens in the future. Did you get a chance?
I did, and I stayed away.
Yeah.
It's been such an uneven franchise, and to go out on a note like that, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I think they, the last one that really just kind of blew me away was Logan.
Oh, absolutely. Should have stopped there.
And it was, of course, separate of this, but tied into it.
Yeah.
Logan, still one of my favorite movies, period. And just what they were able to do with that, and the acting and the storyline, just an amazing film. Favorite biopic of the summer? Thomas, you want to dive in, or you want me to?
Oh, I'll go ahead.
All right, go for it.
I didn't see a ton of biopics this summer, I'm not going to lie, but Rocket Man was pretty incredible. I can't really say enough about what they did with telling the story of Elton John in such a beautiful way.
In a unique way.
It was unique, and it was a musical. It kind of broke into La La Land at some points, and I don't think a lot of people were expecting that, but the way they handled it was incredible. And the song choices kind of told the story, which will kind of factor into another movie we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
But Taron Egerton, his acting.
The acting, the song choices, the directing, the editing, that movie really from top to bottom really worked for me, and I really wanted to see it. It was one I was looking forward to, but I don't know that I expected to love it as much as I did. But I walked away going, wow, I'm so happy I got a chance to see that.
Me too. I had Rocket Man. It took me a few minutes to get into the rhythm of the film. I was thrown off a little bit because I thought everything would be chronological. And the first song, when he's like 9 or something, was something from when he was probably 30 singing.
Right.
So then I realized what they were doing, and you get into the vibe of it. And it was a terrific film.
What about most creative film of the summer? For me, I'll go ahead and dive in. Yesterday, this was the summer of music for me. And a lot of films on my list relate to music, and this one taking this what-if story, what if the Beatles never existed, in a reality that you happen to wake up in, but yet you know everything about them, you know every song, and you have this ethical choice. Well, should I'm a singer-songwriter, should I take these as my own? That just played out throughout the film, and the covers of the songs I loved, the way the story was told I loved, the acting and the supporting cast, the humor. I mean, there was nothing that I didn't love about this movie yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same. And then you had that scene near the end, which I won't bring up, but my jaw just dropped, and it was a very powerful, moving scene, I thought.
Yeah.
But that just kind of topped off a great film anyway. It's a love letter to the Beatles, is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and also to the choices we make and the choices we don't make.
Yeah.
Thomas?
I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's kind of creative in its simplicity. It's just following these two characters, Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth, an actor and a stuntman, and then you've got the storyline with Sharon Tate and the Mansons on the side. But it just follows them throughout their daily lives. But it's a Tarantino film, so he's always going to make it unique and interesting. He's going to rewrite history in some instances. But there was 45 minutes of this film that was like a movie within a movie or a show within the movie.
Yeah.
And nobody else could pull that off except for Tarantino. And the production design was just dazzling.
Yeah, incredibly long film, but it didn't feel that way.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe they could have cut out 10 or 15 minutes, but still, it kind of just flew by because you're just having a blast with these characters as they're just doing normal stuff.
Absolutely. Most creative film for you?
Most creative. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you also are a fan of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as
Oh
as
yeah,
was I.
it's on here on a different category.
Well, what category did you have it on?
Based on a true story.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I had it as favorite wild card film, so it
Yeah.
made it on all
Yeah.
three of our lists.
By the way, I found the coming of age category on
Okay.
my list.
What was it for you?
Spider-Man.
Okay. That's
I mean,
good.
yeah, I
I
can
like
see
it.
that,
Yeah, I like it. Okay. What about favorite based on a true story film?
Yeah.
Which you just did.
What? No, I didn't.
No?
He just
No, I
did,
said
yeah.
that was
That's your
my
based
based
on
on
yeah.
a true
Which
story.
one?
Once upon
Oh,
a time.
I thought you
Well,
said
you've got the
Spider-Man.
Manson
No, no,
murders.
sorry.
You've got,
I'm confused.
and it's
Tim's
kind of
confused.
it's based on the relationship between Hal Needham and Burt Reynolds
Yeah.
in many ways.
Right.
So that's the best I
Yeah.
have for that.
Okay.
But
Well, from my based on a true story film is Blinded by the Light.
Yeah.
Which once again taking the music of somebody like Bruce Springsteen and it changing the life of a guy in the UK who is of Pakistani descent. You're like, what? How the heck can this born in the USA type singer-songwriter performer impact the lives of somebody in the UK who wasn't even born in the country, the UK, or so how does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it worked, and they did it as a musical, and it was just so flawlessly creative, but it was based on a true story, and if you hang around to the end of the film, you get a chance to see the people this was based on.
Yeah, it's remarkable to see the parallels between the kind of conditions that Bruce Springsteen grew up in, and then compared to this guy of Pakistani descent in Britain, and it's just crazy. You wouldn't think there would be any parallels whatsoever, but Springsteen's music was basically therapy for this guy.
Yeah.
And it was just really moving. It really dug into a lot of social commentary, and they didn't hold back.
Yeah, and they did it. They did a nice job asking the questions that are still relevant today,
Right.
and really loved that film, Blinded by the Light. My only concern my only problem was it didn't stay around long enough.
Yeah.
Not enough people got a chance to see it.
Right.
That was my only thing. I really loved that film. It only hung around here like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
So, yeah. What else is on your list? We want to make sure we get to some other things on your list. Mr. Tillman.
I think all that's left on the list for any of us, I think, is wild card, right?
Okay.
Wild card and horror.
Oh, and then horror
Yeah,
film
yeah.
too.
Horror, yeah, do horror.
Okay, horror. Go for it.
I'll go with Godzilla. It
Okay.
wasn't great, but it was fine. I didn't only because I didn't get to see Crawl.
Yeah, with Crawls, yeah, we're there with Crawls. Just so brutal and really made you squirm, and that was the entire point of it. Really claustrophobic, and the way they crafted that was impressive.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, it captured this. You nailed it. Claustrophobia is what you felt, and being trapped.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that and to do that well is really difficult to do. on film. Some films attempt it and they just fall way too short, but this was an indie film, didn't have, huge name stars attached to it, didn't have a huge budget, but man, what they worked with and what they came out with was really incredible. So yeah, Crawl on my list. One more I am going to just throw out just because it was a really charming film this summer was The Peanut Butter Falcon, favorite North Carolina-based film that took place in North Carolina. Shia LaBeouf, amazing work, and a young actor.
Zach Gotskin is his name, and the movie was written specifically for him. It was just one of the most heartwarming, uplifting movies you'll see this year, and I'm so glad we got a chance to check it out.
I am too. So if you get a chance to check out The Peanut Butter Falcon, please do so. It's still in limited theaters, so it's still around. Movie quote of the week. This comes from a streetcar named Desire. I'm also going to give my own little spin on it, directed directly at Mr. Greg Tillman. So the quote says, I've always appreciated the kindness of strangers. And so my amendment to it is, well, and if I'm being honest, you are kind of strange. So until next week on Meet Me at the Movies, that's Thomas Manning. That over there, Mr. Greg Tillman, and Tim Foster on the Tim Cam. And we do appreciate Derek. You can't see Derek, but Derek's been making sure that the cameras are working. What? No, what? The illusion of life just exploded right there. But Derek, that was a portion of Derek. Derek, thank you. There he is. Derek, there's Derek. There he is. All right. We appreciate you tuning in. If you want to send us an email about how crazy and awful we are, please do so. We will read them on the air if you want us to. info@c19.tv. And you can also go to c19.tv for all the shows that are available.
And by the way, spelling is important, I've learned, so you're going to email us.
So until next time, I am Noel T. Manning II from Meet Me at the Movies, and that is a wrap.